pull out your sketchbooks because in this lesson, I'm going to be showing you an exercise that will make you so much better at value composition.
In this project, you're going to take a reference image and you're going to explore several variations of value compositions. I provided you with 2 photos in the downloads. Do thumbnail sketches the size of your thumbnail or palm or anything in between, and simplifying again to just 3 values. You are the composer. You'll use your creativity muscles to the fullest to find the versions of the value compositions that you like best.
When I did this drawing, I started with a thumbnail that looked very much like the original photo reference. So I changed it quite a bit. I worked out the major value distribution before I did the final drawing. So here's what you're gonna do. Start with small and simple thumbnails to capture the main idea. Play with that for a little. If you attempt small and simple, but you end up with large and detailed, try again. Don't just say, oops, I went a little overboard on this one. Try again and simplify it. Sometimes it is easier to simplify on the second attempt after you've gotten that urge out to get all those details in. I know the temptation to try to make a really nice finished piece, but the benefit of thumbnails is you can try many ideas quickly and not go down a long path you end up not liking, or that could have been better if you had just spent a little time thinking through the big idea first. After you finish that first thumbnail, do more quick iterations to explore value ideas. Try to do at least 5 iterations of each photo. Play around by modifying groups of values. Scott Flanders, a concept artist, says that the first several ideas are usually bad. You gotta get them out. Of course, there will be some cases when you hit it on that first try, but that shouldn't prevent us from exploring alternatives before deciding if that first one truly was the best. Don't fall in love with your first idea. So here are some random tips while you're doing this project. In a portrait, you usually have a lot of freedom to do what you want with the background or with the clothing. So do you want the background to be darker to emphasize white hair? Or what if the shirt and hand were both a mid-value to reduce contrast? And what if we rearrange the value shapes for a totally different pattern? What if? Sometimes we might be tempted to add a gradation or a soft edge. Hard and soft edges have an effect, but let's keep them all hard for now. We will focus on edges later. Also, you don't have to add environment details or invent environments at all. Just consider various abstract shapes that those environments would simplify to. And consider how you want to crop your thumbnail. You don't have to stick to the way the photo is cropped. Maybe you want to add a bunch of empty space above. What effect does that have on the portrait? By the way, you might want your pencil to be kind of dull. It will help you draw with larger value masses while avoiding details. It's that fine pencil tip that might lead you to those unnecessary details. And actually, if you got some markers, this would be a great time to whip them out. You can choose to use pencils or markers for this project, or try both. Each has its benefits. Markers are faster. The thick chisel or brush tip allows us to fill in large shapes very quickly. This means that you can try more variations, more value compositions in the same amount of time. Also, because markers have predefined values, it's easier to get clear value separation. They force you to think within the limited number of values. Markers force you to organize the values into those limited groups. And because the markers are thick, it's much harder to control the small detailed shapes. So markers force you to simplify your shapes and think of the bigger idea. Pencils allow you to erase. You can adjust your shapes and values as you go. So it might be a little bit more natural for brainstorming if you can go back and forth, light and dark, back to light, instead of just being able to darken and darken and darken with the markers. Pencils can also give you more control of your shapes. You can either use a dull flat pencil or a sharpened tip. This could be bad if you fall for the trap of adding unnecessary details, but it could also be good. You can design more attractive shapes if you have more control. Also, pencils pick up the texture of the paper. Some people find this more aesthetically pleasing. And finally, pencils force you to practice that pressure sensitivity to get the value that you want. Markers make it easier, but pencils give you that additional practice. Whether you choose pencils or markers, either way, you're practicing something valuable. Level 2. You get 2 different photos in the downloads. You can start with the level 1 photos as a warm-up, but then move on to the level 2 photos. After exploring many versions, if you fall in love with one of your thumbnails, whether it's the first one or not, now's the time to do a bigger thumbnail with a little bit more details, and with the option of a 4th and 5th value. These could be the size of your hand, or at most the size of 2 hands. We still want to keep them relatively small to just practice the value composition. The level 2 photos are a bit more challenging. There's more going on and there's more that you can explore, which means more that can go wrong. Overall, this project is pretty challenging, but don't add that additional pressure on yourself to get these beautiful drawings. Simplicity and clarity is more important than accuracy. I don't care if your proportions are correct. I don't care if you captured the likeness or the fancy details. I care if you made deliberate and confident decisions about your value groups and then clearly executed them in your small sketches. Remember to simplify for clarity, control your value range and key, and create a clear hierarchy to guide the viewer's eye. Okay, good luck. This project is part of my Drawing Basics course. And if you want to learn all the fundamental skills that got us here, now's the perfect time to join because I'm going to be going into the final section of the course on edges, which means we're finally getting into the nitty-gritty of shading. The sections on lines, shapes, perspective, and values are all fully published and ready for you to dive into. That's over 156 lessons so far, teaching you the fundamentals of drawing. Join me at proko.com/drawing.